So I wanted to start actually by talking about cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you make the decision to enter the industry?
I had my own experiences with cannabis, and really, I wanted to get down to the science of it, especially after I began, obviously, using the flower is cool, it's social, it helped with sleep and insomnia, but when I started to use other applications, the topicals and whatnot, I'm like, okay, this is really, there's really a lot of healing properties to this that people don't know about because it has that stigma. And, it's a shame because people used to use this hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. People used to use plants and medicine, cannabis as medicine. And so to the fact that it was a Schedule I drug, it was almost a crime itself that we couldn't learn more about, the healing powers of this plant until now.
Marijuana's federal classification as a controlled substance. How do you feel about that and your thoughts on when you think that changes?
Not as, at first, I was real sketchy about getting into the business because it's like, dang, like the government could literally shut this down if they wanted to. But you see the snowball effect taking place. Everything starts in California and then rolls east. And we see that happening. I feel like there's over 30 states that have some kind of marijuana legislation actually going. So I don't think it's not going backwards. It's too much money coming into these states.
It's funny how much times have changed when going back to when you were entering the draft and how much news was made just about the fact that you admitted in private discussions that you'd once smoked marijuana.
Oh, yeah. It's so funny, like when I first admitted that, it was a storm, like, oh my goodness, yada, yada, yada. But I mean, for me, I'm already done playing. So,
But people were doing it then to hurt your draft stock, and now the NFL is becoming more open.
It was intentionally done, and to that point, that interview that we did, it was like in the combine, they asked you, everybody used to ask that question, have you smoked weed or yada, yada, yada. And they tell you before that is the confidential, it's not supposed to come out. And lo and behold, it came out for several people, but obviously it didn't affect the draft stock, but that's had to be what it was for, the reason why it was leaked.
You made a point of discussing it during your Hall of Fame speech. Why was that important to you?
It really, and I was real subtle with it during the speech. I didn't want to come off as, I'm selling. I even altered my speech the day of the other thing because I read it the night before. I told you my average go to sleep time or getting home was like 3 o'clock, and I got home 3 o'clock that night from whatever we were doing. And I was like, man, I read through it again, and I was like, yeah, it feels like I'm selling something here. And I didn't want to come across as if I'm selling something. I just wanted to be a great message about, one, what we're doing and how I feel like there are healing powers to this plant or just to plant medicine in general. So I tailored it, I switched it around. I left primitive in there, but in a different way. It wasn't like I'm talking about primitive. I said something to the effect like the plant's primitive in nature, But one thing I didn't want to come across as selling a product. This is more than that. This is about football life more so.
How much thought went into how to present that in the speech? Or even if?
So much. I mean, obviously I had a speech writer, Dr. Tommy Shavers helped me with my speech. He did a great job putting all my words on paper as I wanted, but it was hard. It was hard to not be a salesman from what's going on right now in my life.
How did your parents react when you told them the first time?
I talked to my dad about it first. He didn't like it. He wasn't as against it as my mom.
And your dad's the laid back one.
Yeah, that's the laid back one. He didn't like it. I'm like, I know Mom Johnson ain't gonna like it. And yeah, she didn't like it one bit. When I told her I was in the industry, I thought she was gonna disown me.
What did you remember what she said initially?
I think I remember her just saying that, this is no good. Not word for word, but like to some sort of extent, like there's nothing good in this. There's nothing good in this. It's illegal. You can't make money off of it and stuff like that. And lo and behold, that was at the time when the industry had just started to turn. That was when California was already going. But I mean, we're on the East Coast. My parents are in the Bible Belt. Those are going to be the last states to go. So I understand the stigma. I mean, we're in the Black community. We probably have friends and family that have been affected by it. So it doesn't surprise me that was their thoughts towards it. Even me as a young man, I knew I smelled weed in high school. I had no interest in using it because I wouldn't dare go home smelling like weed because Mama Johnson would kill me.
Yeah, right. But you probably rightfully knew then if you wanted to pursue this, that was the time to start, pursuing it as opposed to years later after, a lot of other first movers had already entered the industry. So I was talking to her the other night and she very clearly is proud of, what you are doing and the steps you're taking. What was kind of responsible for her shift in thinking?
I think just communication. I remember we went out on a ski trip to Colorado one time, and this was when we were first getting into the industry. We had got denied, and it was a big story. That whole board that denied us, they got disbanded shortly after because they're probably doing things they weren't supposed to be doing, denying people or taking bribes, whatever they were doing. So they got disbanded, but we got approved not long after. So what that news, when we got disbanded, or not this, when we got didn't get approved, it made newspapers because those things are public record.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that it would, because I'm like, they had to be a reporter in there that knows, because we didn't put everything in our name and stuff like that. And there's reporters in there, they put the 2 and 2s together, and it came out in the articles. And at that time we were scrambling because we were scrambling.
Like how so?
Because we didn't get approved of a license. Mm-hmm. So, and it's a competitive process, and if you weren't able to get in, then the next person in line would be up.
Yeah. So what are you thinking at that point?
At that point, I'm like, oh my goodness, like we put a lot into this so far, and we might not even have a chance to get in the industry.
And you put your name, your
we
reputation
put our brand,
behind it,
our rep, and all that. Yeah.
Your first kind of post-playing career.
First entrepreneur endeavor after playing. So nobody likes to fail, but in order to get to where we are and have success, you're going to fail, but you just got to fail forward.
How did you go about deciding how much money to invest initially?
It just depends on the project that you had. We have a we have the smallest commercial grow, and now it's time for us to expand because of where we are, but that's where we started. Wanted to start small, bite off a little chunk and see if it's for us and move from there.
And what have some of the notable steps been for you so far in the growth process of just your business?
Just being compliant. It's a very heavy compliance industry. We knew it would be very heavy on compliance, but there's so many levels to it.
Like what?
Just say, for instance, anytime you move a product within your store, within your facility, whether it's a store, whether it's a cultivation, processing, every little move, if you're moving it from this room to that room, there has to be a record of it. If you're changing it from this package to that package, there's a record of it. Every movement, there's a record. So, it's possibly easy to get lost and forget a step in there. That's why you have to have people that obviously that practice, and you can work. It's going to be errors sometimes, but you have to have people that own it, that are like almost like we call entrepreneurs. People that own it within the business.
How about the biggest challenges so far in building the business?
Biggest challenges is just really, for us, really, the biggest challenges were just people. I think people are the biggest challenge is finding the right people for the job. We have people in place that know what to do, that know how to do it, but having the supporting cast for those, for your not say your top dogs, but your cultivation specialist or your metrics specialist. Having a great supporting cast.
And what's your involvement in that process?
Really, I'm the landowner, so, I own the land and the brand. So, we're responsible. Just, that's when we came into the industry. It was like, we're going to put a good team together. We've seen the good and the bad. We've been on 16. I have some friends that have been on championships. I fortunately haven't been on a championship team, but I know what a good team looks like.
Right.
We know how to put together a good team. So that's what we set out to do.
Rob was telling me that everybody kind of says they're an expert in this industry, but nobody actually is yet.
The only experts in this industry are the guys that have been growing since they're like kids, but it's not many real experts in this space. And for us, we use recruiting services in order to find that so-called expert for ourselves in this space, because, we couldn't just go around Michigan like, hey, how much have you grown? How much there's no real track record, but for guys that have been doing it out on the West Coast and the places that have a legalized market.
How do you go about figuring out how to get the product right?
Just, trial and error. You got to grow it. You got to grow it. You got to get it tested, and that's really a big
it's not like just somebody sitting there smoking in a room. There's like more to it than
it's so much more. You got to grow it right. You got to dry it right. And you got to test it and make sure it's right, But in order to get to that point, there's like there's months, almost you say a year of processes. If you're starting from seed, it's like, 8 months before you actually get a full-grown plant.
And when did you know you had the right product?
I gotta try it. Quality control. I take pride in it. I do our quality control, not only myself but the whole team. And then we have a survey that we fill out, and it has different categories in the survey of like, how's it taste, how's it feel, How about
long-term goals?
So our mission is to be innovative in the space, and just highlight the healing powers of the plant. So in being innovative in the space is creating new applications. So maybe there is a new drink, where we could drink it instead of potentially smoking it and maybe harming your lungs. Coming up with new ways to consume it, to put it in your body so that's effective.
Rob had mentioned the desire eventually to go to other states and internationally. What are your thoughts on that front?
100%. As long as we continue to take care of our backyard, build a strong brand. Like I say, we have the celebrity behind the brand, but a lot of people think there's just a splash of face on it. But when we put those two together, that quality and that celebrity, and just grow it from there, we'll be able to license in other states. Not so much sure if I want to do brick and mortar unless it just grows like that, but just being able to take it to different states, that'd be a cool thing. But the biggest thing with that is just quality control at that point.
And what's the hesitation with brick and mortar? Because I know you guys have talked about retail.
Right. It's just so much more of an endeavor. It's a lot more, investing that goes on there when you got to build out from the ground. So if we could do a licensing deal and get into other markets to spread our brand, that would probably be the quickest way, the best way to do it.
How about financial goals?
Financially, at the end of the day, and not right now anytime soon, because I feel like we have a lot of work to do in the industry, but be able to, sell our company to a bigger company or just become a part of a bigger company, where we could do more and more research. You need money to do that because we got to fund it ourselves because the feds aren't really doing it right now until it's not Schedule 1 anymore.
Well, and on the federal front, you can't even store the money somewhere, right? Because of the federal regulation. Right?
Any bank, the banks that have federal funding and things like that of that nature, you can't do anything with those. Even companies that have federal funding, you can't really partner and do things with them. So we have local banks though in the state that do accept cannabis cash, but they tax though too.
Oh, do they?
Oh yes.
That's a whole nother challenge in and of itself.
It's a whole other challenge, but it is a whole level of comfort knowing that your money is in the bank.
In what ways was the Harvard partnership helpful?
For us, just to be on the holistic, the wellness side of this thing, man, to be able to do research and prove the point that, we're in it for the right reasons, that we're trying to create products to help our brethren. Everybody deals with pain. So being able to help the masses, that's what this thing is all about.
How do you view how the NFL's handled it in recent times?
The NFL's changing themselves. If the NFL gives something to the players, you better know they're taking something on the back end. So I feel like they gave the players the ability to have more of the substance in their system, so that they don't really get in trouble for it as much anymore, really. But at the same end, I think that they might have lost some of their revenue potentially. I think there's something that happened on the back end of that. So they know when the NFL players they're getting something, they losing something too. The owners they're not going to just give. So. But it's good for them, so they can actually have another way to take care of their body and not have to take all the opioids that are prescribed, because, you get those things too, and obviously we know the destructive effect and how addictive those things can be, and that's another reason why we're in this.
Have you reached out to the NFL to try and engage on the topic?
We've reached out to the teams through people. I know the NFL has put a grant out there where they're going to donate, I forget how much, was maybe $1 million or something like that to cannabis research. So that's a start. That's a start. That's all, right now, that's all you can ask for from the NFL, because I wasn't expecting that. So. And
do you see yourself reaching out to the league at some point to try and develop some sort of partnership? That's for sure. We're definitely going to. I think that when we get in a better position with some of these products that we're talking about, and we're able to do some more research on them and really show them, like, hey, this is Harvard research. This is Johns Hopkins research. This is institutional research that we're doing here. It's not we're not doing this in our backyard. And you talked about kind of positive effects of cannabis versus opioids, which are still commonly used and legal for medical reasons. How often did you use marijuana during your career? I use it on a regular. Early in my career, coming out of college, I used it, every now and then. But when I got to the league, it seems like you go from being in college to, can't get hurt, never get hurt, to all of a sudden, once you get in the league, like you're hurt every day. Really? This is crazy. Cause I got little injuries in college, but nothing like the league. I guess it's just, you're playing against such bigger, faster players, stronger players. But it definitely increased to the point where I'm using every week, during the league. Like after games, before I go to sleep, yeah. And what made you realize that helped? Just the level of sleep. For me, I know my mind can race, where I'm just thinking about something. I'm sitting there like thinking about my speech, and my mind's just racing. I'm like, no, something's not right, and I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning trying to fix it the day before my speech.
And I was finally like, my wife was like, get your butt in the bed. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I just need to go to sleep. And then I wake up the next morning, it all just came together.
Didn't you do it before a game once?
I don't remember. I feel like I was scared to do it before a game.
I thought I read you did it before a game once, but then there were positive effects, but then you decided you didn't want to do that anymore because you were concerned about like the lung capacity.
Yeah, I mean that's my main reason for not wanting to do it for a game. Because I was like, man, all I do is run. I'm running miles every game. I was like, I can't. That's the last thing I want to do is go out there and have an impact on my lungs. Because if you do, yeah, you'll feel it.
How about the most Vicodin you ever had to take, and how long that continued for?
I remember. I mean, I took a lot of stuff. I took Vicodin, Toradol, some Oxys, whatever you could do to play. I mean, that was the mindset. You know, you want to be available. You know, if you're not available to your team, that's how you get off your team. You know, and you know, for me personally, I just like to play. I mean, we all just want to play. We always want to be on the field, even if we're hurt, because we understand everybody's got injuries that we got to deal with. But you know, that's just part of the game, being able to play while you're hurt. Like I said in my speech, anything that we could take to play, we did.
How long a period of time would you have to take it for?
Oh, it just depends. Like, so say for instance, my injury on my finger, that was at a point in time where I was like, okay, the Oxys, all this stuff makes my stomach. Like, it didn't make me, didn't feel right. Like, just something about it was off. The Percocet, oh man, I took that like 2 times for my finger, and it was great with the pain, but I felt off, like everything was off, and then from that point, it's just cannabis.
Looking back now, even if that's commonplace and regularly used kind of when you're in it playing, how much do you think it's actually overused?
Like the Toradols and all that stuff. When I was playing, it was freely available. Like, and they changed it halfway through my career where they kind of, I mean, that's when the opioid, you know, pandemic was getting really bad. And they had to make a change because it was too readily accessible in the locker rooms where guys could just go get it whenever they need it. So that was probably a change for the better, because I think that some people went off the deep end, you know, using other things because of that.
And that's where today, present day, as more and more research comes available, that cannabis, you believe, can really step in and make a big difference.
Indeed. You know, we have what's called an endocannabinoid system. You know, it's almost like cannabis is made for us, you know, because we have receptors that accept cannabis. So that's my true belief that, you know, anything that is of the earth, you know, should go into our body. You know, anything of synthetic means, not that I don't, you know, put processed food into my body sometimes and take medicine, but, you know, if I can avoid it, yeah.
All right, growing up, we want to take you way back. So tell me about shooting a kid with a paintball gun. Who was riding his bike.
I did a lot of nonsense with paintballs when I was in college. When I was a kid, it wasn't just a random. It was always somebody I knew, you know. So when we were at Georgia Tech, we were like on the 4th floor of our dorm, and we overlooked the parking area. So we had a tennis player, David, or just whoever's riding by or walking by, or the cars, if we know the cars, oh yeah, we're lighting them up. So people eventually just stopped coming down this way because they know that they come by there, they getting hit with paintball guns. I remember one time we shot up one of our friends, one of my friend's cars, and he pulled up. He's like, dude, look what y'all did in my car, yeah. And then a cop came, he saw, I guess we had our paintball guns. He got out, he pulled his gun. I was like, oh really? Like, hey, it's just paintballs, you know. It was like, we're just playing around, we know the dude. So the dude is one of the defensive linemen, Daryl. And he wasn't tripping, you know, he was just mad at us, but the cop pulled the gun. I was like, hey man, we go to school here, don't do that. Like,
yeah, right.
You know, but yeah, paintballs, I mean, yeah, don't be around me if I got a paintball gun.
What's the most trouble you got in growing up?
When I was a kid, we were, it's a grocery store in College Park, and my mom parked up at the top. For some reason, you can move the gear while it was parked and the keys weren't in it. So my brother's in the back seat, probably like 2 or 3 years old, in his car seat. I'm in the front seat, and I moved the gear. I go down this long hill, and it's just a hill like this, and then it goes up at the bottom, and there's like a tractor trailer at the bottom of the hill. So we start rolling down the hill. Fortunately, like, we're like in the lane where people drive through and there's no cars coming. I see my mom running down the hill, and it goes up and it stops literally right before this tractor trailer, and it just comes back and settles in the little valley of the little hill in the parking lot. Man, I got home, I swear my mama grabbed flipped me upside down and whooped my ass. I ain't never got my butt whooped so bad in my life, man. I remember that. So I remember that. That was a funny experience. I remember going up the steps and I feel like I got flipped upside down and got my ass whooped. Like.
So what's interesting about your family is, you know, while you might be the most famous, all of your siblings have had a lot of success in their own right. And, it wasn't as if you came from some uber-rich family that could send you guys to the best schools and provide the best of everything. It just seems like your parents were really involved and great parents. But first, just kind of to set the scene here, give a little background on what each of your siblings do.
Older sister, she's an immunologist. She just got a professorship. She worked at Emory for a while, and she just got a professorship at Morehouse School of Medicine, where she actually did her med school. So she's doing well there. She's a smart cookie there. She was, like I said in my speech, she was a precedent. She led the way for us. She batted lead off, and she set the example, set the tone for us.
Is this Erica?
Erica, my older sister, sorry. Erica Lachey Dawson. I keep saying Johnson, Dawson. She got married a couple years ago. And I got myself, my little brother Wally Rashad Johnson. He's in, he might have a year and a half, 2 years left of residency down at Vanderbilt. He's like a general surgeon, so he's very smart. And my baby sister, she just finished up school, so she's got a nice little, I think some kind of logistical job. So everybody's doing well. I'm happy for them. I'm most proud of my little sister because she got her first real nice job and stuff like that. She gets paid well, so I'm not worried about my siblings, so they're doing well for themselves.
What about your upbringing do you think's responsible for that?
My parents are real involved. Mom Johnson, she's, kind of like a perfectionist to her own right, always trying to do everything to the best of her ability, and everything she touches it like turns to gold. She does a great job of whatever she does, and she's always on us about school, man. Just all A's, B's, a C is like an F, a C she's pulling you out of sports, stuff like that. Just little small threats like that that just kept us on point, while we were growing up. And I think that's the big credit to, one, them just being consistently there, whether it was too much, overbearing, but just the fact that they're consistently there. My dad always played the other role. He was just cool, calm, collected, and just seeing him, same demeanor all the time, whatever's going on, those two totally different personalities, but we're able to see the work, they put in for everything that they got, and that's why we are the way we are.
And they balance each other well.
That's exactly it.
You mentioned everything your mom touches turning into gold. I understand it's follow through that she has that's really helpful, right?
Strong follow through. She's gonna, she might do something, but she's gonna go back and make sure it's right and stays tight.
What do you think you most learned from your mom and dad?
My mom, just having vision and goals, and just seeing those things, if you put your mind to it, you work towards it, everything, nothing's out of reach. With my dad, I think, like I say, for him, it's just my demeanor. I'm always try to keep cool, calm, and collected, and not that I am all the time, but with what I seen him go through and the way he, continues to maintain himself.
How so?
Just, from, what he had to deal with, going to work day in, day out, and he's on call when he's on the railroad, so we'll be in the middle of the day. It always seems to happen whenever we're having fun. So whatever, no rhyme or reason to what time he gets called, he got to go. He's out the house in 30, 45 minutes on the work, and he might be gone for a day, he might be gone for 12 hours. It just depends on the call. But come back home, we get home, first thing he does, food on the table, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, getting food ready, then he go take a nap or whatever and, catch up on his rest. But he didn't let the fact that he was ever tired, or, stressed out from work or whatnot, affect, what happened at home.
In what ways was your mom strict?
We wanted to do something, we knew not to ask mom, because we're probably going to get a no. We always ask dad, but and then he would be like, well, go ask your mom. So we just didn't bother asking. So, but with her, like I say, whether it was school, she's a huge disciplinarian, and both of them preach that do it to the best of your ability, or you won't know how good you can be.
And the worst punishment was not being able to leave the yard, right?
Yeah, when you get in trouble and you can go outside, but you can't leave the backyard. Then you can see everybody in the cul-de-sac playing kickball, baseball, whatever, football in the street, that was the worst, having to stay in the backyard.
So you're playing for the Lions. It's a snowy game against the Eagles.
Yep.
She's in the airport, I believe, going home.
Yep.
And she slips and falls. Take it from there.
We played up there in Philadelphia. She slips on some ice on the going into the airport and fell and hit her back. In the process of getting checked out, they noticed some abnormalities and found out she had pancreatic cancer during the process. And fortunately, it was, you hear pancreatic cancer, it's like death sentence, Fortunately, she found it, I guess, as early as you can, and went to Johns Hopkins. Dr. McCary did a little Whipple operation on her, and she's That happened like 5, 6 years, 7 years ago now.
Why was it important to you to bring it up in the speech?
Because, I mean, when we heard she had it, we didn't know what stage exactly. We kind of heard it was early, it hadn't really metastasized yet, but every time you hear that, you're like, yeah, and then you find out later that, you know, this has done something already. But, you know, just to see her faith in action, man, she just, you know, all she was just in her prayer closet all day, every day. You know, she was in the hospital, she was always in good spirits, you know, always speaking positively, you know, wouldn't let anybody come in there speaking any or bringing any bad energy or anything like that. So she did a great job of just controlling her, you know, her whole attitude and the effort then she put into her recovery.
And taking that spill, that fall, was about the best thing that could have ever happened to her.
Yeah.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but right, the issue with pancreatic cancer is you just don't find it till it's too late.
It's too late, yeah.
What was your reaction when you initially found out?
Everything just drops. You know, it's just, oof. It's like, that's the one, you might not know much about cancer, but if you know anything about cancer, you know, like pancreatic is not the one you want to get. So we found out it was a blow. You know, my dad had a quadruple bypass, like when I first got into the league, so it could easily be without both my parents right now. So, you know, just a straight blessing.
What was the hardest part about her process of going through that?
Just seeing her, you know, she wasn't really, let's say, deteriorating, but she was losing weight, you know, and just seeing her looking real frail, you know, that was a scary time.
Whether the mom or the dad, your kind of takeaways from going through those experiences?
Just enjoy the time that you have and spend as much time as you have with them. You know, right now the business keeps me up here, but, you know, my oldest son is down there, so I get back down to Georgia to see them and the family, but, you know, it'd be nice to be living down there and enjoy, like, all the time I have left with them.
Baseball.
Yep.
So first, what's the deal with you and powdered mashed potatoes?
That's a college thing, man. I ain't got no money, man. Man, we was in college, and that's my go-to.
Don't athletes on scholarship, can't they eat for free in the cafeteria?
We can, but it's like certain times too, though. I mean, like, I had a heavy potato diet, like from high school to college. High school, you wouldn't believe it, but all I ate was French fries every day.
Really?
Every day in high school, like, they had, like, you can buy a regular lunch, you buy like burger and fries. I had like $2 to spend on lunch, or $3 to spend on lunch every day, so I bought French fries and a drink, you know, so that was good. But, you know, and then I got to college, you know, I'm a fiend for French fries, so, or potatoes, and yeah, powdered potatoes, man. I don't know what got me on them, but it was just easy. Go get some powder and I could eat it and I'm good. I don't know why, but I love them.
Better diet today?
Oh yeah, much better diet today. Yeah, oh yeah. I actually make my own potatoes from scratch now.
There you go. But I mean, otherwise, like, I can't imagine you'd be in the shape you are today, even if you are still working it aggressively, right?
No, yeah. I mean, I try to eat right, man. That's the biggest thing, you know. Just eat a good diet, you know. I mean, I don't exercise probably as much as I should do, but I think that eating a good diet keeps me in pretty decent shape.
So what was it about the Fairburn Flames jersey?
Back in the day, I played baseball at Duncan Park, and that's where actually Eric Berry, he played with the Fairburn Flames. And every time we leave in baseball, you know, from T-ball all the way up to, like, you know, I was in middle school, I always wanted to play football just because it was so cool. They had the orange flame on the helmet with the blue helmets, and then like almost like a blue Bronco-like jersey kind of, you know, and I just loved it. You know, my blue was my color, you know, it's blue and orange, and it was more so just because they looked so cool that I wanted to play.
I mean, that was it, right?
That's why I wanted to play, because the uniforms look so cool.
And you could have gone pro in baseball. What was the offer that you got, and why did you ultimately turn it down?
I know we got one from the Dodgers offer letter. I don't know why I thought it was Cincinnati, but might be, I don't know. I was playing baseball all growing up. High school, I started to get pretty good at it. You know, I was hitting really well. Obviously, I was covering the out center field like no other, but baseball got boring, because when I started playing football in 7th grade, I was running back, cornerback. When I got to high school, I hit my growth spurt, and they moved me over to receiver. And kind of got good towards the end of that second year, third year, turned it up, and senior year just kept going. But it got to the point where I was like, man, I want to go to college. And mainly the reason I wanted to go to college was because while I was in a senior or a junior or whatever, my sister was in college, and my mom would send me up to her at Clark, Atlanta, and she'll do a little like tutoring. If there's some course I might need some help on, she'll, you know, just help me out or whatever. And then I got to just chill out downtown and see the college life, you know, just I was like, man, I got to be a part of this, you know. And then not only was football, you know, taking, you know, the precedent, you know, baseball was falling behind, but college life I was thinking about too. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to school.
So regardless of whatever the economics of the offer were, you knew.
Yep.
And not to mention your mom probably wouldn't have let you go anyways. Right?
I'm not so sure. I don't even know. She probably wouldn't have been favorite. She probably wanted me to go to school for sure. And then before that, I had a couple guys that played before me at school that actually went off into the farm leagues and, you know, kind of see how people get lost sometimes in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that was something you were aware of even then?
Too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tell about being 12 years old and the class assignment where you wrote about your future.
You know, I didn't even know about this until I went home recently and she showed me this letter that I wrote, and it was like, whoa, like literally like spoken into to life. I sat there and read the letter talking about, you know, want to be a professional athlete and do things that are able to, you know, help people's quality of life and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, that's exactly what we're doing right now.
Was there something that you said in the letter that kind of most stood out to you?
Being a professional athlete, I always wanted to do that, but to be able to talk about, you know, how we're going to come out here and try to change people's lives and create a better quality of life for people, and that's kind of exactly what we're doing right now, you know, and continuing to build, yeah.
And your mom had initially resisted you playing football, but it was something about that letter that opened her up to the possibility, right?
I don't even remember what it was, but yeah, she didn't want me to play football, and I think mainly because I was little. She said I couldn't play until I got to 7th grade, and you know, from when I was, you know, however young I was, it felt like that took forever just to get to 7th grade because I wanted to play football so bad. And then the first day playing football, I wanted to quit.
Because everybody was hitting you.
Well, yeah, because we had a stupid hitting drill. Like, I'm running down the sideline, and then there's like a D lineman coming down at an angle, crashing me, like on just tackle drill on the sideline. I'm like, they don't do that. Like, they don't do this.
And you also had offensive line cleats.
Oh, man, my mom had me out there looking nasty. Just had me in the Rydell's, like molded Rydell boots. It was ugly.
Oh, and so tell about the Butterfinger dubbing.
My 10th grade year, I got moved up to varsity. I was trash my first 2 years. They called me Butterfinger, so I couldn't catch a cold. And they put me in a game, and I remember I like dropped like a couple balls, just hit me right in the hand. I remember like yesterday. I mean, I could see it. Just hit me right in the hand. And
still to this day.
So I'm like, man, I still remember it. And I remember it was a big letdown. I think we lost that game. If I would have caught those balls, we would have easily won the game. Could have been like big plays and stuff like that. And it was just like, man, and then all of a sudden it just got the Butterfingers, and it was a joke, and then it just kept on, Butterfinger. I'm like, man, y'all ain't gonna call me Butterfingers.
So what did, when you dropped those passes, what did teammates say to you?
I don't remember what they said at the time. I just remember the after effect, you know, of, you know, what it felt like to lose those games, and then, you know, sometime later, it was a joke, but Butterfingers, and then everybody started calling me Butterfingers, until I started making some plays the next year.
And it was a joke, but it really wasn't.
It was a joke, but it wasn't. Yeah, right.
Yeah. How did you feel at the time?
You know, it cut.
Like, legitimately?
No, yeah, it cut for sure. You know, I was like, man, I'm out here, you know, embarrassing myself. I'm like, that joint can't do that. You know, but the only way to get rid of it is to work it out. You know, and so I put that chain, that little rubber football and that bungee cord on that chain link fence. And just went to throwing that ball. Like, what you do, you throw it away from them, and the bungee cord brings it back twice as fast as you threw it out. So I think that just really helped with reaction, really, more than anything.
Do you think going through that experience where you were dropping the passes and people were giving you a hard time helped ultimately in you having success?
100%, because it's just, you know, all those times it's just like, you know, you get used to people, not used to it, but, you know, you understand that, you know, people are going to be mean, people are going to say stuff, but it doesn't affect what you're doing. You know, it doesn't affect how you keep on living. You know, it doesn't affect what tomorrow's going to bring. Because tomorrow could be a totally different day. It just depends on, you know, how you approach it, what your mental's like.
And you mentioned that throwing the football into the chain link fence. If you could, just to explain the work ethic that's responsible for the success that you achieved.
Yeah, man, I saw my dad, you know, grinding day in, day out. Saw my mom go from, you know, flight attendant to school teacher to school administrator to now having her minister's license. So it's like anything you want to do, you can do it if you put your mind to it. Or work it until I'm not dropping that no more. And that's why I said put that chain on that fence. And all I did was go out there and just throw it away, catch it. Throw it away, catch it. And then just try to work those hands, just work on the quickness. It's just whatever I see, you just gotta be real with yourself too. Whatever you see you need to work on, you gotta attack it. You can't go at it passively.
And even if the drills and what you were doing changed over time, to what extent did the time investment and the commitment only grow as you wanted to have more success?
It only grew because you become that much more, for me, I became that much more paranoid about if I'm not preparing at least at the same level or better than I did last time, I'm gonna fall short. I'm falling behind.
Really? Paranoid, as in concern somebody else will pass you up?
Not even concerned somebody else will pass me up, but maybe I didn't put in enough attention to detail on maybe how I'm coming out of this route, or put enough attention to detail on how this guy is gonna be playing on film.
What about sacrifices that forces you to make in kind of pursuing your professional dreams?
It would have been hard for me to have a family during that time, because I don't know how I could have, put all the love into the game and then put all the love into a family at home and still be able to, take care of my body, get in my hyperbaric chamber, get all my body work done, and then come home with the wife and like, hey, while she's putting the kids down to bed, so every day. So it's just using my game ready, my compression, just thinking about all the things I did on a daily basis. Like, I wouldn't have had time for family.
You have to be selfish if you want to.
You got to be selfish with your time.
Yeah.
100%. You got to be selfish with your time. Even if you do have family, you're going to have to be selfish with your time. Your wife is going to have, like coaches' wives, like, that are in good marriage, there's some real OGs and you got family and kids because the wife is holding down the household.
Right, and probably in...
Coaches at work from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., you know what I'm saying? So that's like a daily thing.
And probably impossible to have success at everything, or at least all at the same time.
You see Tom Brady do it, but it's not really like it.
So there are times that you would catch the ball playing and actually not really have any idea how it got to you or that you actually caught it. Explain that.
I think it starts with muscle memory. I think it's just, one, you just do things so many times that you can almost just like do it in your sleep. So there'd be times where I go up and make a play, or catch a ball, and I just don't even remember it happening because it's just, I don't know if it's just I'm so used to doing it. Almost like when you're driving. If I'm driving south here going like to the airport, I'll almost accidentally get off at the facility. I don't do it anymore, but I almost accidentally get off at the facility exit just because I've done it so many times. So it's just the same thing. I'll be running the slant route and I can do it in my sleep. Matthew, he puts it on me the same spot sometimes, just depending on how it's going, and just don't even remember. I just remember after play, how did that happen?
So your longtime quarterback, Matt Stafford, who we talked to the other night at your party, spoke about how when the two of you started playing together, you guys were not on the same page.
Not at all.
What led to you guys syncing up?
Yeah, time led to us syncing up, time, communication, and just me getting to understand, like, okay, Matthew just always throws a fastball. Okay, get ready. As simple as that.
Oh, okay, but when was it at its worst?
After he came back from injury. He got injured early, and then when he came back, Sean Hill has all this touch. All we have played with like 5 different quarterbacks, and then, you used to seeing that change up, and then he come with that fastball all the time. You gotta get back ready. I remember at the time, I was mad because I was like, dude, like, you effing my fingers up. Like, but like I said, I just got used to it, and it's just, like I say, it's just, one is, for me right now, it's more of appreciation. I'm like, man, anybody got to play with that kid, like, if you're catching that ball with your hands, I call you, you're a receiver now.
What do you think of him no longer playing for the Lions?
Good for him. He got to get away and go somewhere where he really wanted to be, I think. He spent a lot of time in California. I honestly thought he might end up in Texas. That's where he's from. I'm sure he wouldn't mind going there. But once Dak Prescott showed that he was going to be healthy, I was like, oh, yeah, that's not happening. But, being in Cali, he spent a lot of time there in the off season. I think he's very comfortable.
What did it mean for you to have him at your ceremony?
Oh, it's huge. I appreciate him coming. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it because I knew he was going to be in training camp.
Right.
But I think, Sean McVay is a cool coach. I met Sean, so he's a cool guy, and I think that just the fact that we have a good relationship, me more so with Matt, that he allowed him to come out. So
the Hall of Fame, take me through everything that you can remember from finding out you were being inducted, starting with the door knock.
That day at the door knock, obviously my wife knew that day and then the day before, so she did a hell of a job. She's never, I could tell when she's like holding something, so she did a good job there. The way she played it off, she said we had a family call. And it wasn't out of the ordinary because it's Corona. We would do a call, like a monthly call, just check up, everybody on FaceTime, yada, yada, yada. And she's like, I think my friend Mel's coming over, so I hear a knock, knock, knock. I look at the door, I'm like, Male is like freaking, male ain't nothing but like 5'5", if that, you know? And I'm seeing it's like a bear at the door. I'm like, what the hell? So I started walking to where my pistol's at.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I was going to get my pistol. I don't answer the door at night without my pistol. Crazy. We in Michigan. Well, but I'm going to get my pistol. My wife was like, you good? You do not need your pistol. When she said that, I'm like, what you mean I'm good? What you mean? And like, it's nighttime. Did you see this person at the door? And she's like, you good? I'm like, okay, something's up. And then it starts to like, holy moly, this ain't right. This ain't real. Because I didn't think, I was like, man, I don't even know if it's gonna happen. And then she like, go answer the door. And as I'm walking to the door, I'm like, oh, it's starting to sink in. I'm like, oh, and I opened up the door, I was at a loss for words at that point.
What were you thinking?
I'm like, it actually happened. I'm like, it's a dream. Till the next day, like, I was like, you know, I was literally pinching myself. I'm like, is this real? Like, it's real.
Yeah, because even now, talking about it, you can tell.
Even now, it's starting to sink in. I got the jacket and all, but I think that it'll all come home. Like when I get to go to the game and get the ring in front of the fans, I think that'd be a real emotional time.
You aware enough of what's going on in that moment where you actually can remember it, or is it kind of like?
I remember every moment of it. Yeah, I remember every moment of it from David. I might not remember every word, but from David at the door telling me, you know, congratulations, you're one of however many that have ever played it. He's an encyclopedia of football. Like, you're one small number of however many thousands of guys or thousands of guys that have come to the NFL, and the hundreds or millions have ever played the game. And I'm just like, man, stop! Like, you're really making it, making it a lot of really heavy on me right now. You know, so. Yeah, it was, and then the tears started to pour.
And David Baker being the Hall of Fame head, the experience from this past week that most sticks out to you would be what?
Just the guys embracing me, you know, all the gold jackets embracing me there. That was probably the most comforting thing. You know, you never know how that's gonna go, how that's gonna be. You know, you got all these guys, all these, you know, alphas in one room and stuff like that, but they were nothing but gracious. You know, shared, like, you know, from Marshall to Bruce Smith to Charles Haley to, you know, Irvin and Carter, man, just being able to just have those conversations with those guys that you looked up to, Harold Carmichael, like the first big wide receiver, you know what I'm saying? It's you can't put those conversations into word, what they mean, you know, it's hard to, you know, it's just like I say, it's just the greatest honor, you know, just to be able to have those conversations, you know, that nobody else can have, that nobody else know about, you know, the things that happen in the locker room, you know.
Is there a single favorite part from the past week?
Man, the funniest thing to me that happened when I was talking to Jimmy Johnson, there's a lot of funny things that happened. Jimmy Johnson was telling me about a time his Cowboys went out to play the Redskins, or the Washington football team now, on the East Coast. I think he said they're already in the playoffs. This might have been one of the last games of the season, and they laid an egg out there. He said he went back into the plane. He'd always go back there whether win or lose and talk to the team or whatever. He said he was talking to his team, or he went back to check on the team after the loss, and they're back there having a good time, playing cards, yada, yada, yada. And he said he saw the stewardess pulling out the food trays. He's like, nah, they not eating on this flight. He told her to put the food up, and they just flew home, like, without eating. I'm just sitting there thinking, like, that's the worst thing you could do to a team, like not give them food after, because you just played 4 hours running around, right, and you're looking forward to get something to eat and drink. Oh man, he made them sit on the plane without eating. I was like, he was mad. They pissed him off that game.
Retirement. Mm-hmm. Tell about the conversation with your dad that ended up leading to you playing in 9th season.
I remember sitting there with my arm on the couch, looking out the window. You know, it's like, man, Dad, I don't think I can do it anymore. My body is hurting. Like, it's not fun, you know, everything, all I do is run, you know, the joints is beating, knees and ankles, they never stop swelling up, you know, it's been rough to get out there on the field and play. And he was just like, I don't think I'm done. He's just like, and I could tell he didn't believe me at the time, but he's like, man, but he took it in and he was like, well, you think you could do it again? And I sat there and I was sitting there thinking about it. I looked out the window, I looked up, and it's like, and before I could say anything, he's like, well, you thought about it, so you can do it one more time. And I was like, all right, you're right. Like, do it one more time. And there's about 3-4 games in that last season where I just didn't want to be out there. Body hurt so bad. Even now, I'll take the Toradol. Like, I remember we were playing St. Louis my last season. I had like one catch that game. And I just feel like I was just running in sand the whole game. You know, I just couldn't push out my ankles because they're swollen. So you just didn't have the range of motion. So it was just not fun because I just, like I said, I didn't have the juice. That's what I got to call it. I didn't have the juice. And I always tell myself at the beginning, like, I would like to play 10 years, have 10,000 yards, you know, average 1,000 yards a season and just leave an impact on the game. But I did tell myself, like, once I feel like I'm not the same, putting out that same product, I'm done. I'm hang them up. And it was that time.
And what was the different feeling the last season?
Just going into the game, you know, not feeling confident because half the season I didn't practice. And for me, I told you earlier, like, preparation, you know, that's when I'm at my most confident. I feel a little paranoid when I don't get all the preparation that I need. I feel like I'm missing something. And every week, all I would be doing, and while the team was practicing, I'll be inside, maybe running in the water, treadmill, just trying to keep my wind up or biking all week. And just maybe I'll go out there at the end of practice and just watch. Yeah, I knew what to do. But for me, just having those live reps, you know, that meant a lot for me. And not being able to do that with the team. You know, me personally, I hated seeing guys like that didn't practice all year. You know, and I hear guys coming from other teams, they come here like, dude, like, why you run so much? Why do y'all do it like this? I'm like, dude, this is all we know. We in Detroit. We trying to get it. You know, we've been forever trying to get it. You know, so we got to work hard. We got to work hard. We got to bust our ass. But you come from other teams like, dude, we don't run our stars like that. You know, Larry don't run like that. Guy doesn't run like that. And it's like, hey, that's all we know.
What, if at all, about how Barry Sanders retired influenced you?
It didn't. But it's funny, come to find out, it might have been some of the same reasons. You know, for me, like I said, my body was shook, my body was done. But at the same time, I feel like the team, they weren't retaining some of the top talent that we had. So I saw it as a time to rebuild. And I'm like, I'm not here to rebuild. We're going to win. We have to win now, or we're not going to win at all. And I felt like, you know, we had those guys on the team. When you had those guys on your team, those studs, you gotta you gotta fill it up, get it in there. Like when you get a chance to, even when you sniff in the playoffs, and you feel like you can get there maybe on a couple of years, you gotta fill that team up and get the team in there if you want a chance to win that Super Bowl. You know, I feel like that was our champion. You know, we had Stafford, we had Sue, we had the offense that was putting out 5,000 yards a year. We had we had a top defense. You know, we had some mean defensive linemen in there. You know, we just added a couple more pieces in the back end there. You know, we had some decent, but you know, we got a team there. But we got rid of like 3 guys on that defensive line after that year of maybe that last time we went to the playoffs. And
why?
Why did they get rid of them?
Yeah, why do you think that is?
I don't know if it's personality or money. But I know the team personnel, we're good on the team. Might have been personalities upstairs that get clashed with some of the guys on the team, but forget y'all not on the field.
Right.
If we good down here, that's all that matters, you know?
Was that the feeling among the teammates that were still around?
Well, the ones that, the teammates that were still around, it's easy for anybody to see. I mean, you get rid of 3 of your top 4 defensive linemen, and you get rid of Sue along with one of those guys, you know, you're in the rebuilding mid-year. You're not planning on going to the playoffs because the D-line, they're the one part of half the reason why you get there, because they're the ones that get on the quarterback, that force some errant throws to come out so the secondary can get in on the action and get some picks and get us back on get the offense back on the field. If you don't have that, then you're just getting run up and down the field, and that's what happened. You know, they just run the ball on us.
Why did your first year away, you were retired, why did you want nothing to do with the game?
I didn't. I was done with football. I was just like, I've been around it all my whole life, you know, or at least until this point, and I'm done with it. I just didn't have anything for the game. Maybe it was part of the way I was treated when I left from the Lions too, but it wasn't long. It didn't take. The following year, I started watching a little bit more. The year after that, I was watching about every game. I was like, man, there's not too many more guys that I actually grew up playing with that are still playing. So I want to be able to watch some of these guys play. That was part of it. I'm like, let me check these. Let me tune into Matt. Let me see Matt play. Let me see, you know. So I still watch the Lions play. You know, I was still a fan of Matthew and the guys that were still on the team for sure, Slay and all those guys.
So the injuries that you alluded to, take me to a morning that you would wake up while you were still playing?
I mean, every morning, you know, especially the last couple of years, man, I can't even walk. I get up in the morning, I literally slide across the floor, like shuffle, because I don't have any bend in my ankles, you know, because you wake up, everything's just super stiff. And it takes a little while. Every morning, I get up, I shuffle across the floor, and I'll be out the house I wake up, I'm probably out the house in like 10 minutes. And I go to work, I get to the facility and do ankle work. Like Steve Scher, he was my PT, and he would just work the ankles out to try to free them up and move all the, you know, the fluid around in there so I can, you know, and then tape them up so I can, you know, move around. And that was a daily basis.
Name all the injuries that you can recall sustaining during your career.
You know, broken fingers, ankle sprains, ligaments in the knees, not full tears, just partial tears. I fortunately never had a full tear since college. But I think the ankles and knees, you know, the scopes, getting the knee drain before games, all that stuff took tolls.
Let's see that finger, by the way.
Which one? Yeah, that one. Yeah, of course, that one. So this one was stuck. So it was stuck like this for the whole 11th season. So I played the whole 11th season like catching balls, like this. And then I was like, man, I cannot keep playing like this because sometimes a ball would hit that finger, like, you know, and it would hurt like a mother.
Especially when Stafford's throwing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the ball, he's all over throwing to me. So I think every time it would like straighten it out when it wasn't able to straighten out, and it would hurt so bad. So I was like, okay, let me tape them together. So that kind of helped out a little bit. And then I finally was like, let me go get this operation. The trainer at the time told me I should wait till I was done playing to get the operation. I'm like, dude, do you see my freaking finger? I can't put my hand in my pocket right now. Yeah. So when I got the operations, Dr. John Hopkins up in New York, he got a special hand surgery place right up there in New York City. He went up there. He told me it would never be straight again, but I'll at least be able to function, use it, and put my hand in my pocket. So, so this is as straight as it is ever going to get. I could, you know, straighten it up a little bit, but that's as straight as it's going to get. It doesn't really, you know, it hurts, you know, when I'm gripping stuff, you know, or if I'm playing golf for a while, but that's what them topicals are for, you know.
And what was the first year injury you alluded to in your Hall of Fame speech with the back?
Yes. See, nobody knows about that except for the people that are actually there. You know, it's so fun. So we're playing the Eagles. It's probably first half of the season, early in the season, playing the Eagles, and I had safety in the corner on me. I go up. They're literally, I'm in the middle of them. I go up, and they're up under me, so I'm thinking I'm falling, but I go down to they like split, and I literally fall in the small of my back. I hit the ground, and I'm laying there, and I'm literally like, I can't feel my legs. So I immediately start to tear up, and I'm like, oh, like, I can't feel anything. And it took a little second, and Donovan McNabb come over. He's like, come on, little fella, get up, you know. And my coach was like, come on, we're going to walk off this field. And I get up, he helped me up, and I end up like hobbling over to the sideline. It took a while. I'm not sure how long the ordeal took, but it took me a while to be able to get up and walk off the field. I had to walk off under help. But he's like, we're gonna walk off this field. I was trying, Jay. Yeah. He's like, we ain't gonna show no weakness. I'm like, damn, coach, I can't feel my legs, man. And it started to come back. It's really tingly. And I get off to the side, and they bring the cart over, riding off the field. And this is why I hate Philadelphia fans, man. I was getting cart off the field, and they were throwing and booing. I was like, y'all just don't even know. I can't even feel my legs. Like, y'all some ass. Yeah. But, you know, that's just Philly fans, you know, for you. But that's the instant. And it took a while for me to actually be able to run. I couldn't run. I literally couldn't run for like a whole week or two. Like, and the coaches, they were pushing me. And I'm like, dude, y'all just nobody really understood because you can't see it. Yeah. They see me. I look good, you know, but they don't see what's happening on the inside. And I was hooked up to machines like by chiropractors that would like pull my lower body and hold my upper body and pull up and pull down. I'm like, it was terrifying. I'm like, I hope this thing don't mess up. But yeah, stuff like that, because I had discs like bulging and stuff like that, and it just sharp pains. And those and that's what the medicine was, the Toradol and that stuff, they took off that dull and allowed you to play. But that whole first year, even through like the end of the year, it took me a long time to get that back right. And even now, if I'm not constantly doing back exercises, like I'll wake up and literally feel like I don't have a back. You remember what those 2 weeks were like when you couldn't run? It was hell because I had coaches that wanted me to play, that wanted me to get back on the field. I got doctors that not saying that can't tell me what's wrong. Yeah. But I know that I can't. If I try to run, it's just like I'm getting stabbed in the back. Mm-hmm. How about issues with your body today? Today I'm good. I mean, so if I do a camp, like for my guys, and I'm out there doing the drills, I feel like I just played a full game. Like I'll just be out there like, hey, this is the 3 steps I want, yeah, or you know, this how you do. I just do a display on each one of the drills I do with the guys, and I swear to God, like by that evening, my ankles are swollen. The next day, I wake up in the morning, I'm shuffling across the ground again because I feel like I just played. And even if you ride a bicycle with the ankles, right? Yeah, I feel my ankles will swell up, and I'm doing anything with any kind of impact. Like even if I snowboard a lot. But fortunately about the snowboard boots, they keep it compressed, but I still like start to swell up after I take off the compression. And what about the rib? Oh, I got a rib that I don't know. I remember this happened in practice, man. I remember I got hit one time and my rib just sticks out all the time now, and it's just it's easy. Like I don't have any cartilage. That's what it is. I don't have cartilage on it. I like rip the cartilage, so like they'll get like this, and all of a sudden, sometimes I do something weird, I play too much golf, they'll like stack up like this. And it takes, I get to see my chiropractor, and then he'll tighten me up.
And a knee?
Huh?
You have a knee issue?
Knees are good. Knees are good now. I might feel a little pain or swell up, but I don't have any issues with there. You know, I used to get those things drained before every game, you know, but fortunately I don't have too many issues there.
Describe the feeling when you get a concussion.
You know, you might blank out, you might see stars, you have headache. You can. I never got to the point where I've thrown up, but I've seen people get to the point where they've thrown up. You can't sleep, just headaches, migraines. I think that's the main thing that I had was just migraines. But other than that, you know, I don't feel like I've had too many side effects from them. Yeah, hopefully, God willing.
What do you mean when you see stars? Like, what's that actually?
It's like literally like blinking lights. You know, you never like, you know, just blinking literally like you're like right here, but you got blinking lights.
How many like do you think you've had?
I mean, sure, it's hard to tell, man. Then that's the thing. A concussion can be as so little as, you know, just a bump, but as long as that your brain touched that skull, that is a concussion. So It could be, I mean, you get a concussion just from driving in the car and getting in a little minor fender bender. So think about how many times we hit head or that head hits the ground. You can't really call how many little or major concussions you have.
And did I hear you say somewhere you think upwards of 10?
Yeah, easily. I mean, you're going to get a concussion every year if you play football.
And how many of those do you as a player actually report?
I remember there was a discrepancy one time where I said I did and the Lions saying I didn't, and then it was just like, okay, you're going to tell me? But, you know, they're just trying to protect their butts.
You say you have a concussion and then you have to go back and say you misspoke.
There's a game that we played the Vikings, and I was going up over the middle. Matt threw it up. It was up. And it touched my hand, so I probably should have caught it. But I felt the what's his name, the linebacker right up on him. I literally came down, chin on his head. And guys are chairless. He always, like, when I got tackled, he was always there. That's my dog. I got up too fast, and I went right back down, and he caught me. And I'm not sure if that was the same time when that happened, but I mean, like, you could look at the film and see what happened. Like, that's a concussion.
What was the conversation that took place with the team where?
Yeah, there was, you know, you talking to the trainers. They're like, yeah, this came out, but we don't have it, you know, written up as we didn't report. I think this is the thing, they didn't report it, you know, whatever. So, you know, they just, you know, cover your butt.
Should doctors that diagnose concussions in the NFL work for the team you're playing for?
Hell no, conflict of interest. They're gonna do what the team wants. All of them, they're gonna do what the team wants. The team wants you on the field, they're gonna push you to get back on the field. You know, not to say that there's not no doctors that take your best interest, not saying that all of our doctors on the Lions didn't do that, but I mean, there's a conflict of interest there clearly.
Why do you think that hasn't been changed when it's so obvious?
I mean, unless the NFL is going to go out there and pay for all the doctors. I mean, still, if it's the NFL doing it, then still slightly a conflict. So I don't know how you get around that. I don't know how, and they're not going to let anybody just in.
Concerns for lasting damage?
You know, all you do is just pray for the best. You just live life to the fullest while you're here, and like I say, we're just trying to find solutions that'll help us out.
Right. I mean, but you have to have thought about it before.
Oh yeah,
right?
Of course. I mean, when the Concussion movie came out, everybody was thinking about it. I mean, people still think about it to today. I mean, we've seen a lot of rules change recently because of that. I mean, when I was playing, it was okay to do the crackback. I mean, it changed later in my career. It was okay to, you know, because we celebrated that stuff. It was a part on ESPN, like, I forget what it was called, like, when you knock somebody out, you know, I forget there's a segment. So, you know, it's not celebrated no more, but, I mean, it's football. You're going to have concussions. You're going to have injuries.
You alluded to this a bit ago when we were talking about retirement and Barry Sanders. You've, I mean, pretty publicly said you didn't feel like you were treated the way you should have been on the way out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How so?
You know, for me, you know, I feel like I did a lot for the city. You know, honestly, I mean, talking about dollars and cents, I mean, I played half my contract and I earned half the money on the contract. So why are you coming after me? But what really made me feel that way was like, dang, when you see Romo come out, you see Andrew Luck come out, you see how their owners take care of them. I had the honor of meeting Jim Irsay, and I see why he did that, because he's in touch with his players. I talked to Edrin this weekend when he got drafted with the 2020 class. I see why he didn't come after Luck, because he loves his guys. He spends time with his players. I asked him, like, was he like always around you guys? I'm like, dude, like, he's like a friend. You know, like, you don't, who says that about their owner in the NFL? I mean, you see Jerry Jones around, but you don't think you hear the guys maybe say he's a friend. You can appreciate the fact that he's around and has his eye on everything. You know, when we were playing with the Lions, I mean, you see him out of practice, but I mean, I don't think that wasn't an everyday thing, you know, when I was playing.
And how do you think that different dynamic ultimately ended up impacting the end result?
Well, that affected us because they just see us as, we're just pawns out there. We're just numbers. They don't see the personalities. They don't see the people. I'm just now getting to learn the ownership. I never really spoke to them when I played. I actually spoke to Bill, young man, Ford, because he's not really part of the team as much anymore. It seemed like all his sisters and the mother took over. But I mean, he would be in the training room when I would be in the training room all the time. He'd be out there working out. So I had to have good conversations with him. But after that he was gone, I mean, they weren't really around the team.
How did the team respond, either privately or publicly, when you first kind of addressed your misgivings?
I don't even remember how the team actually responded. I mean, I spoke to ownership, that day when I told the team that I was done. So, they were just like, thank you, we appreciate, all that kind of stuff. So.
And what do you make of their efforts to resolve it?
Not really any effort.
No?
I mean, they sent us some stuff, but it hasn't been really any effort to resolve it. So.
Do you think it's likely that there will be positive resolution?
That'd be nice. I'm not going to close the chapter, but I'm not going to, bend over backwards to try to do anything because I didn't do anything. I did my job.
What do you think has to happen to make it right?
I'm not saying they got to repay me the 1.6 all up front, but then they figure out a way to do it and not have me work for it because I already did the work for it.
Because that was the offer that was made, right? That
come work for it.
Right.
That's a joke.
Your wife, who, once you worked for the team, who is, your staunchest defender and kind of tough lady, she said, it's the principle. It's petty. Pissing match over $1.6 million when they actually saved money. Time can't heal all wounds. That's what she said the other day on the phone.
And I'll put it like this. Imagine like you had a friend, or maybe not even a friend, just somebody. They gave you something, and then they take it back. Are y'all gonna still really hang out? Y'all still cool? Like, and imagine you did a whole bunch of work for it too. It's the principle. It's the principle of it. Like, no, you cannot have me back unless you put that money back in my pocket. I ain't got to do it all at once. You ain't got to do it, but you got to commit to do it in the right way. Don't have me. I'm not working for it. I don't mind coming and doing work for the organization because I love football, love pouring back into the team. But there ain't no way in the world I'm coming back over there to do anything unless that's coming back and I see how it's coming back. I probably shouldn't have said friend because it wasn't a friend. It's more of a call, just it wasn't a friend situation because the friend, that would hurt a little more. And with a friend, I probably tried to figure out a way to work out. There was no friendship there. It was just a work relationship.
Is that why you consciously kind of decided not to address the team in the Hall of Fame speech?
I mean, Mama always tell you if you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say it at all, right? So, I don't have anything to say to the organization personally, but the fans, they've been the ones that have been there to support. I was drafted pretty high, whether I came to the Lions or not. I was going to a team, and I was going to appreciate those fans or whoever that team was for who they were. But, more than anything here in Detroit, it's about the fans. They made it that much more, great to be in that stadium, to play in front of because, one, what we've been through here in Detroit and, what we built out of that, coming from 0-16 and the fans still being there all that time and supportive, not just of everybody, the family, all of the families. So love Detroit sports, love the city. I've been to all the sports venues. It's a great town for sports. So, that's why I said what I said, but I just don't have anything to say.
And obviously, you're one of the greatest wide receivers ever to live, one of the greatest Lions players of all time. There is the desire to figure it out and repair the relationship, right?
Yeah, like I said, I love football. It ain't about the team. I still pour into those guys when I can. I still hang out with those guys when I can. So if the team wants to, get their stuff together, that's cool. I'll be happy to come back and pour into the team. I do it with other teams, so might as well be the Lions too. Shoot. They got to get their stuff together, though, first.
Married life.
Yeah.
Why Brittany?
Well, this is how I met Brittany. Brittany was working as an intern my second year in the league. And she, at the Lions, and they have like these safe shirts on. I don't even know what the acronym means, but they're security. And so she was, that's her internship. She was working over there by the receiver position. So Roy Williams at the time, he was like, man, you see that girl over there? You got camp eyes, Any female at the time just walking around, because all you see is dudes. Any female looks good. Right. And Roy was like, man, I bet you won't go say nothing. I'm like, man, you crazy. How much you want to bet? And he put 100 on it. So, long story short, he gave me that 100. I went to go meet her after practice when she was on her way to the car. I feel like I was all nasty and sweaty probably. But anyway, I tracked her down, went to go holler at her, and, really didn't even talk to her since from that point when we saw each other out and stuff. But we really weren't really talking at the point because she knew I had somebody else talking to. And she was like, nope, don't want no parts of that because I know. I'm like, how you know? She's like, there's a thing called social media. I was like, oh, okay. Now social media gets you in trouble. But
and you're also a football player too, and she, grew up in a football family and probably knows better.
Exactly. She already knows. She's like, okay, y'all out here being dogs and stuff like that, yada. And it just for me, like I was like, man, like she just had my eye ever since. But it was 6 years later, 5 years later before we even really got acquainted again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like I told you, she didn't want to mess with me because I had a girlfriend at the time, and I don't know, for some reason we was always real awkward around each other. I think it's because we both liked each other, but it was just always awkward. I remember one time Nate Burleson tried to get us at a dinner, and I forget what it was, but it was just the most awkward scene because we were just sitting across from each other, weren't even talking to each other, and everybody else was trying to get us to talk. So it was just, you could tell then, like there was something up, but I didn't think about it like I am now. Like, damn, well, she liked me. I liked her, but that's what it was.
So how did you guys go out for the first time?
She hit me up saying, I'm coming through Atlanta, and I'm like, oh, shoot, that's what's up, but I'm going to Florida. I'm going down to Miami with the boys, and she's like, oh, shoot, I'm going to Miami too. I'm like, oh, shit, that's crazy. I'm going down for my birthday. And I'm like, oh, shoot, this is an opportunity. So we're down there, and I actually get her a cake. It worked. And then from that point on, we're talking, and then now we're here. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the stranger proposal stories.
Oh, yeah. So the night of proposal, I forget, I'm getting some award in Baltimore.
Wait, we need to backtrack to you mailing a package to the house and asking her to pick it up for you.
I totally forgot about that. Wow. So I think was it the ring, I think?
Uh-huh.
I had to mail the ring. I forgot why it was mailed, but either I forgot it or something happened. I had her to get her to bring it, and I had to get her to bring it without her opening it up. I forget how I did that.
And this is like a year before you proposed.
This is a while before I proposed. It was. I forget where we were going, but there was a time, I think we were...
France.
That's what it was. And we're going to France, and I was going to propose. I don't know why I didn't. I forget why I didn't propose. Maybe she'll probably be able to tell you better. But when I did propose, we were in Baltimore, and I knew I was so nervous because I was going to propose at this one night, and we fell asleep. Literally fell asleep and woke up, and it was like after 9 o'clock, and I'm like, oh, I blew it. That was my chance. I was going to propose to her on the pier and all this stuff. And we were hungry. We woke up hungry, so I'm like, okay, there's a sushi spot open. Let's go get some food. Go get some food, eat up, yada, yada. We're walking back. We're walking back at the pier, and I was like, let me see your finger, and I was messing with her because I knew what I was going to do. I was going to propose to her that night, but I wanted to mess with her before. And
did she know it was coming?
She didn't know it was coming. I had a ring measurement tool I got from one of my friends or something. I was just like, let me see your hand. And I stuck it on her finger. She started to get excited. And I was like, I just want to measure your finger, see what your ring size is or whatever. I was just messing around, and she was pissed. She was very mad. She started to storm off. And she started walking back towards the hotel, and we're on the pier. And I was like, hold on, come back, And then I got down on my knee, and I actually pulled the ring out and actually proposed to her. And yeah, she said yes. And that was that. I probably left out a couple of details there, but she'd probably fill you in.
Done with kids?
Done with kids. She says we're done, we're done. I got 3 boys. I got a 7-year-old boy from a former relationship. He's 7 years old. And then I got a 3-year-old and I got a 4-month-old.
What's the hardest part of parenting and the way you want with your son that lives in Atlanta?
It's tough because obviously, your co-parent might not see eye to eye on everything, but it's just really trying to keep the lines of communication open. They weren't great at first because obviously, you got the whole baby mama situation and you're not married. There's tension there between families and stuff. We all went through that, but that was 7 years ago, and now we're at a point where I invited her to the Hall of Fame ceremony. Him and the mom came, and we're all in there just, we even partied after together. So it's a good thing to be in a situation where we're all on the same page.
And you guys deserve a lot of credit for that because it's probably easier said than done.
It's so much easier said than done. That's another movie itself.
So your mom was a strict one, your dad was the laid back one. How do you and Brittany co-parent?
We switch off. Like there'd be some times where, I'd be on the boys hard and then she'd be chill and she's like, calm down there, all right? And there's sometimes where she get on them now and I'm like, I don't say nothing to her when she get on. I'm just let her do what she do. So I don't know. I feel like I got a mix of both.
The non-cannabis work, how much private receiver consultation work do you still do?
Probably a couple every year.
Okay.
I don't do as much when I first came out because I just, you want to be in the game. And I still want to be in the game, but I just don't have the time to do it as much as I used to. But I love to go travel and meet new guys, especially guys that a lot of guys try to get, me with tall guys that are, maybe even taller or lankier, just can't move their feet as well. Prime example, like, hey, my feet weren't always on fire. They didn't always move real fast, but I worked them out. I worked it out. And just all you gotta do is you gotta work it out.
What do you enjoy about that?
I love just pouring into the guys and really just seeing them. I try to dump everything into them. I just want them to grasp a couple things, and I just want to see it in the game. Like I had the opportunities to chat with Chris Godwin, when he was a young man, and see him now as a champ down there in Tampa and playing with Tom Brady. And he, tell me thank you. I just hope I'll be able to pour into guys like that, man, because it means a lot just to see those guys have success, especially after you've been able to work with them a little bit.
Why locker room consulting?
It's perfect name, Rob. We came back from Italy doing like a Italian football league Super Bowl. They had their Super Bowl over there. We went out there and we were a special guest, and we're sitting over there thinking about business opportunities. We're just sitting in all these rooms, just talking business, and from football to apparel and different things. And we was like, man, a lot of guys, when they come out the league, they get taken advantage of. I've been part of that. You want to stop it. You want to help guys put a good team around them of advisors so that, they can, cut through a lot of the BS and, just really, get to whatever it is that they want to do in their post-football life, and just surround them with a network of people that they can lean on. So that's our goal with locker room consulting, and then as well create business opportunities for them to invest in as well. But I think the first and foremost is just making sure the player themselves is in a good shape.
Because too often, there's a long history of documented poor financial decisions which lead to players who, make the bulk majority of their lifetime earnings over a handful of years broke shortly after
and
they're
it's like I say,
retired.
somebody's always going to come with the next get rich quick scheme. Like I say, I've been part of them bad business transactions too. So it's just a matter of putting the right people around you that can, dive a little deeper into what's really going on, and having that team of people around you will save you a lot of trouble.
Do I have this right that you franchised an Auntie Anne's
I did,
pretzel?
and that's one of those business ventures that I'm talking about. It didn't go really well for me because one thing I learned about is you got to be there. You got to be there. You got to put your stamp on it. And that I was up here most of the time, and that was down in Georgia. Then you put people. One thing that I learned really quick after playing football is that not everybody's going to do things the way you do and try to live up to a standard of excellence in everything that they do. I had to change from what I used to say, like living up to, trying to be perfect. Obviously, there's only one person that walked this earth that was perfect, and we're not that. We're always going to fall short. But if you're just striving for me, I strove for perfection, knowing that I wasn't going to be perfect, but trying to do every little thing to the best of my ability. That's all it was, really, for me. It's really just trying to strive for excellence in everything that you do.
So what was the kind of takeaway from that experience?
The big takeaway for me was that if I'm not there to see it, if I'm not there to push it, I can't rely on somebody else to put in the same kind of effort that I would.
What attracted you to real estate?
Real estate was tangible. Something I could see, something that I could actually, put my hands on, something I could actually move, and it's not something intangible like a stock, where you're not sure what the rhyme or reason is for what it's doing. So that's easier for guys that come out of the league to grasp, because some of them are already doing it, and it's just something that you can see. It's much easier to deal with, and then you can trust yourself. It's hard to trust a lot of other people to do like, your stock portfolio or stuff like that. Fortunately, I'm in the fortunate position to have some people I can trust, and that's why locker room is existing, so we can help put other people in those good situations.
And how do you go about deciding what to invest in?
Just use my advisory team. We dive through it. Got through all the pros and cons.
Is it true that your mom was instrumental in helping negotiate your kind of big NFL contract?
You know what? I know Bus Cook, he's my agent. I know Bus, man. Bus is going to relay, he's going to relay whatever's going on to Mama Johnson. So I'm sure that he relayed whatever was happening to my mom. So that's why she was thoroughly involved. I guess that's the one thing I've learned to appreciate growing up, is that she's going to dive into the detail, the nitty gritty, get into it. And that kind of annoyed me at first, especially as a grown man. But, she's been great, as far as like, imparting that on me, like, hey, you better go through it with a fine tooth comb.
Because you want somebody having your back 100%. Like that and also imparting that wisdom. Best and worst financial decision you've made?
I feel like the best has been, I would like to say, joining the cannabis industry, but that's yet to be told. That story's yet to be told. The worst one I would have to say is probably loaning money. You loan money and you think you're going to get it back, especially like people that are close to you. But for anybody, I would tell now, like you loaning money to a friend or anybody close to you, just know that you're not getting it back. And I've loaned a lot of money to people and I've grown. I was like, okay, I know I'm not gonna get it back. It's cool with me now. But I think that what that does though is it sours relationships. And relationships are one thing. Like money, you can always get back, but relationships, man, those are you got to cherish those. And don't, if you can, not allow money to get involved in those relationships. Don't, because money can easily mess up a relationship.
Best financial advice you ever received?
Best financial advice I ever received was probably from my attorney. Just let me read everything you get. Those attorneys, man, they pull out like, okay, this isn't right. This right here, this little sentence right here can be the difference in like you getting your money, you're not. Right. Stuff like that. Stuff that I wouldn't see. And
is there kind of a grander picture behind how you go about managing your money?
Yeah, I have a great team. They've been around for a very long time, and one thing I think that they have done that others haven't is just been very, very big on education. Anything I need, anything I don't know, anything I might not know, if they feel like I know, I got people over there that are great at explaining anything I need to know. And like to the point where, I've brought other people along to them, and those people that I've brought on to them are thankful. So that's what we're talking about, just being able to add or bringing guys into that network.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you doing this.
No doubt.